There we go.
But then she hold it like that. But then she hold it like that. The whole country in a hole, everything out of control.
What is?
But then she hold it like that.
Check it out. 9 o'clock in the morning.
Let them walk it well.
9 o'clock in the morning.
Boy about,
9 o'clock in the morning.
let them walk it well.
9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock on the dot. And no food in the pot. Why?
Follow the main road,
There's a
follow the main road.
9 o'clock in the day. You can't see your way. Why?
Traffic on the highway, traffic on the highway.
Organized crime. It's organized crime. Everywhere you turn. Crime and more crime. White collar crime. Blue collar crime. No collar crime. We're running out of time.
But then she hold it like that. But then she hold it like that. The whole country in a hole, everything out of control.
What is?
But then she hold it like that.
There we go now. 9 o'clock in the morning.
Let them walk it well.
9 o'clock in the morning.
Boy about,
9 o'clock in the morning.
let them walk it well.
9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock on the dot. Your salary cut.
Follow the main road, follow the main road.
9 o'clock in the day. No way to get paid.
Traffic on the highway, traffic on the highway.
A little sample of my calypso. You know, this year, take off that bucket list item, write a calypso, sing a calypso, and I did 9 o'clock in the morning. If you want to get it, contact Satish Ramsaran. In fact, we have an official video to do. It's just we've been so busy. How busy? Starting Monday, this Monday, from 6 in the morning till 8 o'clock, there will be a new morning show called Pep Talks in the Morning with myself and Anthony Defoe as co-hosts. And we will be taking your calls for a full hour every morning of the first week. We are going to be taking your calls. You are going to be our guests. The Progressive Empowerment Party, PEP Media, is about to launch a daily, Monday to Friday, 6 to... Philip is singing about you in the 10. Don't make joke now, Sterling. You gotta get us something. 6 to 8 every morning, right here on social media, on the PEP page, well, on all the PEP pages, and you'll be able to get it and share it, and you'll be able to listen to it on the way to work at exactly 8 o'clock when the show is done. Satish and the PEP Media crew are going to package it as a podcast for those who just want the audio. And at 8 o'clock that night, every night, it will be rebroadcast as a live broadcast again, except this time you wouldn't be able to actually call in, but you get to hear the calls. And yeah, that's starting this Monday. How busy are we? This Sunday, Pep goes pan. Yep, big line, we're going pan. And those of you who've never ever been part of the Pep Pan posse, it's be a good line. I mean, by now, I feel we go only North Stand, besides the crew we're going with. If you want to come, link up with Shari Wilson, Felicia Holder, Sean Sunarine, Debbie Lee Jaikaran, Michelle Davis, any of the usual suspects, Tony Defoe, Aquila Bermudez, mention, link up anybody, any of the usual suspects, Seedbox Man, link him, all the PEP members. Yeah, 9 o'clock in the morning. Nothing works in this banana republic. Forcing reality to fit their facts. The government of the day, Stuart Young, is pushing a narrative that the media is only too happy to share that the opposition is in bed with criminals. Now, I'm not defending the opposition. And I know that the opposition is capable of everything that the PNM is and more. But the PNM cannot pretend that they didn't invent it. I shared a picture today with Patrick Manning on his first hustings with a fellow called Mark Guerra. Remember Mark Guerra? Murdered, shot down gang leader. His wife, friends, all kind of people there. John Lavantil, Mark Guerra, and Patrick Manning. Who started it? Who put the ball in play? Stuart Young. Come on, man. And I posted today, maybe Stuart Young doesn't remember who created the political gang culture in this country, but the rest of us do. Maybe he forgot who created the special purpose companies to remove transparency and accountability, so public funds can be used for whatever the PNM damn well pleased. But the rest of us do. I don't know who Stuart thinks he's fooling with his rubber talk, but I'm yet to meet someone that foolish. No matter how much lipstick and rouge you put on the PNM, it will always be this country's political pig, our cancer, the reason we are a shithole today. The UNC is without redemption or excuse and capable of the worst transgressions. But let's not pretend the PNM could find their way to the moral high ground with a clue, a map, a lantern, and a Sherpa guide. The People's National Movement as a political party is responsible for everything that is wrong in Trinidad and Tobago. And to pretend otherwise is to lie to yourself, and worse, to lie to other people. Trinidad and Tobago, it is time. Way past time. I mean, we're talking a long time, but it's way past time that we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, stood up for this country. Because people have been fighting, and everybody who say, you can't blame the people, you can't blame the people. Who else you going to blame? Is it people that voted for the parties? Who else you going to blame? And to the handful of Petrotrin job beneficiaries who are coming on threads to talk MSJ, pump on the brakes. The MSJ is the weaponized tip of the OWTU spear, and they matter to no one. The purpose they served was to allow Rowley to look like he had a following to fool poor black people. So the OWTU were oilfield workers who were paid to be at work, who would come out and march with the PNM on command. The MSJ has nothing of substance for anybody. I cannot recall them ever having an internal election. I see the same small band of characters as the front, choke up together, the three of them choke up together every time the media put a camera on them, one on the left, one on the right, and Abdullah in the middle, and talking the same Antiguan bullshit he talking away from, Antigua, St. Lucia, Grenada, somewhere, and talking the same bullshit, the same nonsense that he talk about PNM, he talk about UNC, he come out and talk PNM. Listen, this man, he is the Inshan Ishmael of politics. Your party in power, whoever feeding you, bat for them. MSJ is nothing. Do not get distracted. And I need to be very clear about that. Because the Progressive Empowerment Party is the only political movement that has real, factual answers to the institutionalized problems that have plagued this country. And that's what the PEP has done. We've changed the national conversation. All of a sudden, Kirkwaite on TV with ideas. Another one-man party. But all of a sudden, Kirkwaite on TV talking PEP ideas. No problem. We put it out in the public space. And it's not the first time Kirkwaite tried to borrow one of my ideas. We used to have a movement called Enough. And Kirk and the two partners print jerseys marked Enough to follow Rowley in one of Rowley's marches, Section 34. I said, partner, you can't do that. You're not a member of our organization. Yeah, Bex. Take off your jersey, though. These people do not put the effort it takes that we've done. And that is what separates us. And that is why the media is so scared to death of us. Because if the Progressive Empowerment Party had gotten just the media it is entitled to, and it is entitled to media, we are news. We are a legitimate political organization with a large following. We have more offices in Trinidad than all the other small parties put together. And they get news. And we don't get covered. And why? We have a meeting every single Saturday. And we don't get covered. And we have walkabouts, and we have talkabouts, and we have public meetings, and we don't get covered. Why? Why? But that is why the media has to die. It's dying worldwide. And the only thing propping it up in Trinidad and Tobago is paid propaganda ads for the PNM and the UNC when they were in office. But I promise you this, you will have to buy proper greaseproof paper to wrap your fish. In the future, there will be no more. We won't be helping Newsday, Guardian, or Express pay the bills. It is biased. It is propaganda. We, the Progressive Empowerment Party, have to create our own media. And we've done that. Felicia Holder shared a video that she shared in 2018. This is 2020. And I just clicked the video and had 250,000 views. 250,000 views. The first 4 plain talk shows on Pep Media crossed 1 million views. The first 4. We don't have advertising because a lot of the people, well, not much, but a lot of the people who would like to advertise with us are afraid of victimization. I did a video today walking through West Mall. Half of upstairs of West Mall. Half. An entire half of the top of West Mall closed down. And they stick on these pictures of inside the mall on the door and on the glass to fool you into thinking that there is something coming soon. But B-Mobile closed down 2 years now. And the space where B-Mobile was, they can't give it away. There is nothing new coming anymore. The entire section, and that's just West Mall. Trin City Mall have the same thing, and Gulf City and C3. And then they have these people that hang around threads, P&M apologists, excuse makers. They come on the threads, they give you all the information that malls closing down all over the world. It's called a retail apocalypse, and all of that is true. All of that is true. But in Trinidad and Tobago, we opening new malls every year. So which is it? Which is it? You could butter both sides of the same slice of bread. P&M will give you the answer that they need you to have and force reality to fit the facts. The truth of the matter is, Trinidad and Tobago's GDP is collapsing. We are at an economic standstill. The World Bank hovering like Blackjack Spaniard. We could be in trouble. The people don't seem to understand because they think it's not affecting them. But when government fails to mobilize the economy and get the country spending, remember the housing crash in America? Congress deliberated non-stop to put credit back into the economy. That was the first thing they wanted done. To put credit back into the economy, to right-size business. Trinidad and Tobago has some very questionable businesses, chains, large businesses, some that can't explain the rapidity of their growth, the source of their wealth, how they come to have that money, and how they come to have foreign exchange at a time when if you need to go away for a weekend, you want to line up in the bank every day for a month to collect a 200 US every single day to hopefully make up some money. Your credit card is practically useless now because the banks keep sending out releases every month, lowering and lowering the threshold. Our economy is at a complete stop, if not in reverse. If this is not a recession, we are bordering on a depression. Somebody told me I cannot call the country a shithole. And I asked her, were you here when the government picked up Petrotrin and gave it to the OWTU? Disguised as patriotic, disguised as winning a bid, disguised as a winning bid because they offered $700 million US, and then the Minister of Finance unilaterally said, well, keep it now. We just love the gesture. None of that is real. None of that could happen in a real country. That could only happen in a shithole. Only in a shithole, $3 trillion could go missing. Only in a shithole, the rest of the world oil and gas industry believes that Trinidadians have never known the amount of gas and oil that has come out of this country. We only know what we've been paid for. And what we've been paid for found its way to the treasury. And from the treasury to the budget. And then 50% of that stolen every year. Not a shithole. Tell that to the family, to the 10,000 people murdered in the last 20 years. Not a shithole. How could the Prime Minister tell this nation that there was 3,700, 3,000 or 37,000 guns? I can't remember now at this point how much guns he said was in circulation in the country. I think it was 37,000 circulation, and nothing's been done. He told us that 3 years ago. If this is not a shithole, when the Minister of National Security admitted to the Parliament that women in this country have been trafficked, and have not said, 57 women he said, and did not say who they were, what was being done to get them back, how they were trafficked, and how they come to have that information, or most importantly, what was put in place to stop more trafficking taking place. We don't know none of that. that same Minister of National Security went on to steal somebody's house in New York City and nearly make a jail over there. This is not a shithole. If this is not a shithole, explain to me why 30 years after Caroni closed down, we can't find nothing to do with prime food-bearing land but to give it out to friends and financiers to open strip mall and gas station. If this is not a shithole, why doesn't the Prime Minister use public health? Why didn't Maxi Coffee go Mount Hope? If this is not a shithole, how did the Prime Minister pick up $3 million out of the Treasury to spend on his boy toy, guy pal, Maxi Coffee? How could he do that without the authority and spend money Maxi Coffee did not have a right to have? And nobody, nowhere, nobody in authority, there is nothing. There is a vacuum of authority in this country. There's just names and offices, and we refer to them, and they're the top, and they do what the hell they like for 5 years. This is not a real country. This is the textbook definition of a shithole. This is a cesspool. This is a rat hole. The only people who are happy, and temporarily so, are the ones who still have gravy flowing. And they still get our gravy, and they still have a little link, so they're cool. And the wolf hasn't bitten them yet. You see, when people call me to say to me, Philip, they just rushed my mother to the hospital. And the hospital couldn't deal with it. So they had to get a next ambulance and rush her to a next hospital. When I have to hear that and listen to that person say that they reached that hospital and that casualty in a mess. Listen, this kind of bullshit taking place in this country while people DDIing the life out of way, you know. Hear me? And today they advertise a job in the same in Point 14 hospital, and you have to send your resume, copy of relevant certificates to the Human Resource Department of the Southwest Regional Health Authority, but make sure and inform the MP's office if you want to get a job. That is political patronage for public funds. That is misbehavior in public office. That confounds the Integrity in Public Life Act. And if this wasn't a shithole, that MP would have been arrested today. But it's a shithole. We have people walking around, grandsons of former presidents. We have people walking around, children of bankers. We have people walking around in this society, dressing large, living large off cocaine money. This is not a shithole. This is the ultimate shithole. We are the textbook definition of shitholes. You want to see how much of a shithole we are? Go to high society in Trinidad and Tobago and see who's clinking glasses. And tell me, this place is a mad joke. God is a Trini. God was never a Trini. Satan was always a Trini. And they fool us with their bullshit. Yeah? I'm looking for something to gear. As soon as I find it, I'll play it. Until then, hold on.
I visited Parliament Chamber, witness an orchestra, a bang, bang, bang of only politicians. Well, rated their performance on style, talent and endurance, a bang, bang, bang.
Somebody asked me if it was really dust that caused the smoke alarm to go off in the Red House. How come the fireman wasn't sneezing?
Parliamentarians, all of it that encourage hate, making good folks discriminate.
You wanna know why it's Massa Bull and Massa Cow? $90 million, $89 million spent on President's house, $17 million spent on the adjoining cottage. And now, if you want to see it, you could win a lottery. Yes, submit your name to Massy Stores. Yes, the same Massy Stores that now, for some reason, collecting my money at B-Mobile and TSTT. That's the one thing B-Mobile and TSTT used to do properly. Collect the money. How did Massy get in on that racket?
Bridges replaced by gates. Nurturing racism, prejudice and tribalism, multiculturalism. Mama terrorism from the UNC and the PMM, COP in the political symphony. It's a symphony. The GOP, MSJ and JSC in the political symphony. It's a symphony. Stop taking it cool. Don't be played for fool. They're using race as a tool to divide, conquer, and rule. Just be right there, bull. The race can they always pull. All
I got an ENT referral. The letter stated that my vocal nodules needed to be removed urgently. I got the appointment for June 1st, 2021. The doctors I saw stated that it has a chance of becoming cancerous if it isn't dealt with urgently, or it can grow until it blocks my air passage and I'll die. Obviously, because I won't be able to breathe. 2020 has just begun. That person sent that to me because there's nobody else to send it to in this Royal Imperial Majestic Banana Republic of do what the hell you like land. $5 billion spent every year on public health for friends, family, and financiers of the government because it's not redounding to the public. It's not.
Lead vocalists have sore throat. Keyboard is playing wrong note in this band of serial politicians. Their lyrics not rhyming. Some have no sense of timing. This band of parliamentarians.
That's why the 1% vex with Philip Alexander. Because Philip Alexander exists, he exposed the bullshit of where our upper class get their money from. Plenty people in this country that passing themselves off as successful. You should ask them what they're actually successful at. Somebody sent this to me, and I'm asking, what is the $5 billion a year in public health spent on? What was supposed to be a 9 a.m. appointment at the San Fernando Ear, Nose and Throat and Eye Clinic turned into 2 p.m. It was disturbing to watch my 75-year-old father along with hundreds of other ill elderly people, some blind and on a wheelchair, wait this long. Tired and hungry with an extremely filthy washroom to add. Some patients arrived as early as 5 a.m. all the way from Icacos. They have posted signs all over the clinics prohibiting the use of cameras to avoid being exposed. The Minister of Health, Terence Deyalsingh, along with all other ministers, knows how to model and talk crap on the news, pretending to be working. I saw with my own eyes the young doctors and nurses are genuinely dedicated and trying their best, but the system they are working on is a disaster. When the hell will the minister do a walkthrough during these times and not a Sunday morning when there's nobody there? Yes, I did see a minister one Sunday morning with an entourage, apparently showing some foreigners the best healthcare system in the Commonwealth. I am also wondering what the hell is the purpose of a blasted opposition when they do absolutely nothing to highlight these issues. I say without apology, the UNC has been the weakest and worst opposition party in history, combined with the worst PNM government. This country must be the capital of a shithole paradise.
Save people for the powerless, promoting the cause of justice, our democracy at risk. When the section called to the fore, music rock to the core, who arranged the score?
So tell me, let's talk. Why did Trinidad and Tobago ever buy a desalination plant that costs us, I've been told, $75 million a year? Is that a fact? That is an insane, audacious, high-handed looting of this country. Trinidad and Tobago gets more water than it could ever use. If we turn Trinidad and Tobago into a 24/7 water park and just use the water that fell magically from the sky, we would still not be able to dent the quantity of water. You want to test this theory? Put sluice gates at the end of every river starting in Chagaramas. Chagaramas, Diego Martin, Maraval, come right down the road, right down the east-west corridor. Put gates, sluice gates at the end of every one of those rivers and keep those rivers full. Let the water pass through sluice openings in the gate and power on the other side. Power pumps that pump in that water to the reservoirs. We will never run out of water. The existing canals that they build to take the bounty of fresh rainwater and wash it into the sea, put gates and hold it. That's millions of gallons of water right there. but they wouldn't try it. Because in Trinidad and Tobago, you could get away with anything as long as you have members of parliament and politicians willing to play massa bull, massa cow. As long as they have members of parliament and politicians willing to play the blame game and the race game, Trinidadians are going to continue to live like dogs and fools on the bottom, while the sprinkling and the handful on the top who get away with madness, plunder and looting laugh all the way, all the banks all around the world. And that's the truth. This alone is our truth. Nothing but the truth. 57 years and $3 trillion at the most conservative estimate. No other country has had such a bounty in such a small space of time. Guyana won't. All the talk you heard talking about Guyana. Trinidad and Tobago it boggled the mind. The amount of money that passed through this country, the speed it spent at. We have nothing saved and we're broke. We owe the world, we owe China, we owe the IDB, we owe the local banks, we owe everybody. The country is broke. We can't pay public servants. It's a mess. It's a rotten, disgusting mess. It's a shithole. A dancing car of clowns who don't know enough to crack a book and read some history to realize at some point, look at 1776, the French Revolution, at some point, you are going to have to keep that gravy train. 80%. 80% of our budget is transfers and subsidies. That is URP and CPEP and all the other bullshit that they spend to placate their followers. You better be able to continue it. You better be able to continue sending the $2.5 billion to Tobago. Because at some point, if that runs out, we're going to be in trouble.
So impure with the UNC and the PNM and the COP political symphony. It's a symphony with the GOP, MSJ and JSC political symphony. It's a symphony. Corruption rebuff. Say enough is enough. The system will always fail. Once the big fish coming in jail.
And that is what we need to address. That in Trinidad and Tobago, we could have arguments on social media and people could throw racially bandits of the other side who got away with millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and some even billions of this country's money. And they could throw names at each other from the rogues gallery. You claim one and they claim one. And the people who stole the money and their friends in politics, in government, in public office, all of them laughing at you. And you there on the ground, you thief more, and all of them talking shit and they laughing at you. Your children belly growling and they're laughing at you. They're throwing away yesterday caviar for today's own. They're laughing at you. You talking on Facebook about strong punching and white oak and they partner, listen, the reality of our situation is not going to change until we change it. The vast majority of the people of this country have the ability to stand together as one people under one flag. And we could really do it if we ever wanted to do it. If we ever wanted a better country, we could absolutely do it. But it comes down to us being able to put aside those social dividers. You see, what kept Trinidad and Tobago a colony was the ability of the handful of colonizers to separate the blacks from the Indians. It worked in India. They separated the Hindus from the Muslims. It worked in Rwanda. They separated the Hutus from the Tutsis. Once you divide and conquer, you can rule. And that is what has taken place in Trinidad and Tobago. Only August 31st, 1962, the colonizers left. How come we still fighting colonizer battle? How come? Trinidad and Tobago. How come? How come we still fighting colonizer battle? 2020, 58 years later. How come that is still our condition?
A bullet start to whine and put an end to the joy.
24 years ago, David Rudder sang that song. 34 years ago. 34 years ago. The mortuary full with little Trinidad boys. Who you think he talking about? Who you think he talking about? You would swear that the suffering people of Trinidad and Tobago didn't have relatives. You would swear that the murder victims in this country and the women that have been trafficked, you would swear that they don't have family. Because if they had family, those family members would have taken action. They would have voted themselves a better country. They would not have continued to support the same jackassery that resulted in their loved ones losing their lives. But we've been led astray. Our education system, it starts from the plundering our minds to prepare us to plunder our pockets and plunder our backbones and plunder our treasury. It starts in primary school. This is a country where the people don't even know their rights. They don't understand the Constitution. They don't understand how things are supposed to work. I asked today, how come government ministers, MPs, driving with blue lights, driving like they're in a hurry outside of the traffic? You don't have that right, not by any law. That's not what it's for. So how come you're doing it? And there is nobody to call. What do you do? What do you do? In a country that's broken, how could they say it's not a shithole? The same president who told us about the pride of President's house, not 2 weeks later was inside the Red House talking about all the murders and how unhappy the people are. That's a big, big change, yet. This is a country where the government could take taxpayers' funds and misappropriate it and spend it to the point where you have to assume criminal corruption took place. And if you ask a question, they use the courts to silence you. How could this not be a shithole? If this is a real country, the courts would be there pushing to protect whistleblowers. We would have laws for that, but we don't. We don't. What we have are criminals using taxpayers' funds to pay high-priced lawyers to sue taxpayers, to keep taxpayers from asking about their own money. Trinidad and Tobago. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, why is the government not yet talking jobs? Why is it not talking jobs? Jobs is supposed to be job one. How you would create jobs, and I debate anybody on that. Because we have at least 10 different avenues to come at simultaneously to create our 100,000 jobs. So I would love to debate the UNC and the PNM and anybody else who think they want to jump in that guy. Because jobs is job one. Diversification of the economy is also job one. And again, I would like to debate every single political movement that exists and hear what their ideas are to do that. To take us from 22 billion US GDP to 400 billion where we're supposed to be. I'd like to hear everybody else's plans and ideas because we have grand plans and ideas, workable plans and ideas. I would like to have a debate about what they intend to do about the social development master plan of this country that has left so many of our people living in squalor, poverty, desperation, violence and murder. What we plan to do about our law enforcement, that at this point up to now we're still talking about road cops. The Commissioner of Police still belaboring the failure of our justice system to treat with criminals on time. The only thing that seems to work in this country is the record. And even that, I think they stop it. So how do you go forward as a nation if you do not understand that the parliament doesn't work, the government doesn't work, the cabinet doesn't work, that entire Westminster system that we copied and pasted and borrowed wholesale does not work for us. Local government is a waste of time. We do not need it. What we need is functionality, and we don't have it. And until we vote for it, we will be stuck living like lemmings, like rats in a wheel, running every day for the rest of your life. But you could have it better. You could have a functional system of government. And if you don't fix that first, nothing else is going to work. You need to fix that. You need to fix the administration of justice. You need to fix law enforcement. You need to create jobs. You need to diversify the economy. You need to put a real value to our currency or change it for something that works. We cannot continue to exchange units of work in this country for anything less than an affordable cost of living. People telling me today about the price of the rent in the mall. They don't understand the price of the rent doesn't matter as long as the economy is bubbling. It is supposed to be relative, one to the other. It is when the economy collapsed, it left the rents looking high. West Mall was the 1% shopping mall. That's where they go to spend their money. Twin City Mall and Long Circular Mall, their rent's high too. Not as high as West Mall, but their rent's high too. That's the reality of mall shopping. But our economy collapsed around it. And then we get to pretend that the people who benefit from all of it, who live the large lives, who enjoy themselves at our expense, we take their guidance, we take their bullshit and parrot it back to one another. But there's a reason the Progressive Empowerment Party is growing at the pace it's growing at. There's a reason we are the fastest growing political movement in this country's history. There's a reason, and that reason is people are finally waking up to the fact that there must be something outside of those two rabid tribal organizations. There must be something different to corruption, 57 years of corruption. There has to be something different to 57 years of incompetence. You cannot tell me that government after government left government and not clean up the police service and not fix the education system and not made healthcare functionality and not functional and not made water for all a reality. You cannot tell me and make excuses for those people. You cannot. Because if you could still justify in your heart right now voting for any one of those other political movements, then you don't care about your future. You don't have the ability to think critically enough to understand that what you did in the past is what you're most likely to do in the future. Judge every one of us on our track record. Judge us on what we've done. Even without holding public office. I am proud of my decades of public service, and I've never held a public office. I've done bigger projects for the people of Diego Martin and the 3 MPs combined. I was responsible for the bypass that eradicated the evening traffic that used to back all of us up for hours all the way to Movie Town. That used to have every side street in Woodbrook and St. James jam-packed, all behind St. Finbar's Church, down inside Westmoreland's roundabout. Everywhere is cars, people forget. But it is my bypass idea that when I went to Jack Warner, we implemented and made a reality that since then, nobody has had to sit in traffic heading to Diego Martin again unless the government do some stupidness. Yeah?
Day I sit and wonder how the sweet island gets so bitter. No salary but cost of living gets higher. We inhumane behavior, things now turned upside down. Smiling faces becomes a frown. Guns galore, we now live in fear. People no longer seems to care. My heart is filled with pain and agony. I see a man begging for mercy. They rob him and they shoot up his body. I can't take no more. I pray for we say, bring it back, sweetie auntie. Bring it back, land of the milk and honey. Bring it back, sweet family. The way that it used to be, like long ago. What was mine was yours too. Bring it back, peace and harmony. My red, white and black country. All over, stray bullets have running for cover. Shedding tears has become so natural. Humans behaving more like animals. No respect for values anymore. Even lawmakers breaking the law. Who can we trust? Tell me who to save each day on that take us. Dig new grave, wailing and balling is the new band launching. New sizes of boxes we measuring. Nearly your long song you're hearing a morning. Live on a movie and Trinbago now showing. Bring it back, sweetie and tea. Bring it back, land of the milk and honey. Bring it back, sweet family. The way that it used to be, Lord. Bring it back, like long ago. Bring it what back. Was mine was yours too. Bring it back, peace and harmony. My red, white and black country. Oh, 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 oh. I'm pleading with you. I'm pleading with you, Lord. Bring back the nation. Oh, oh. Like it's blood and crime take over. The rich and all feeling the pressure. People die like flies, yet we fight. What would it take for us to unite? Look how we children them going astray, and the poor hold on to faith each day. So all we have a message and playing dumb. Many go pay in time to come. So all the innocent lives they taking, the mind and the souls they corrupting. Everything has a price to pay on a great, great judgment day. Sweetie and tea, bring it back. Land of the milk and honey, bring it back. Sweet family, the way that it used to be. Bring it back, like long ago. What was mine was yours. Bring it back, peace and harmony. My red, white and black country.
As much as I would like to let that whole song play, we have to begin to wrap things up, and we have to discuss the things that are pressing upon us right now. This is the distraction of carnival time, and everybody's going to be caught up in all of the hype that comes with it. And I need for you to start to put things in place right now to protect yourself and your family during this time. Trinidad and Tobago does not feel like a country where somebody's in charge or where anybody has an idea what they're doing. So the drinking and the wildness has started, and that leads to death and dismemberment by violence and by traffic accidents. And you need to be extra vigilant, especially parents out there. Be careful, pay attention, avoid circumstances where you are not in control. Women, this is not a time. This is not a time to be taking your safety for granted. This is not a time, not for a Facebook post to say you were so drunk, because so drunk and you could end up on another island, in another country, human trafficked, in a nation where somebody could drive to any beach, bundle you into a boat and you're gone. So please, keep your wits about you. Move with people. Move with others. Move and employ the buddy system. Make sure somebody knows where you are at all times and where you're supposed to be. Now is not the time to play fast and loose, because somebody will end up paying the price. We need help with our media costs. As you know, we are expanding at a clip, and all these things come at a cost. We do a lot of fundraising, and we are asking for institutional donors, anybody, all of those who are willing to get involved and help finance the party. It could be $10 a month, $100 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever you're comfortable with and move to give, please. This is the last year. This is the last year. After this, one way or the other, we in government or we gone. One way or the other, this is it. Everything, all of the marbles is for display, at least for me. I do not own the Progressive Empowerment Party. I may be the founder and the political leader. But after this rounds here, after this general election, if we're not in government, I am no longer going to be involved in Trinidad politics. There is nothing more for me to do or to say that I haven't done or said in the last 2 decades. So I would consider it that I have tried and I did not succeed. And that will be okay, because I've done a lot of other things with my life. And there's a lot of other things I want to do with my life. So I could either get busy fixing Trinidad and Tobago, or I could get busy with those other things, and it would be pretty much okay. But to those who would like to donate, it's for a couple of months, and we need your help because we have a lot of big bills facing us. We have to prepare for general elections, and all of those things come at a cost. And you all know we are doing our best to avoid deep pocket financiers who come with strings attached. We want to make sure that when we are in government, there is nobody pulling our strings but policies, but the average person. We want to make sure that this will really be a government for the people, by the people. And a $5 and a $10 donation goes a hell of a long way when it comes in numbers. We are having our PAN party this weekend here. We're going PAN. We provide the t-shirts, and there's drinks and coolers. You just come with your ticket. Message me if you need help with that. If we could help, we will help. Somehow, whatever. But this is our last big PAN posse, and we wanted to make a real good showing. So come out, all PEP members, make yourselves available and come out. Everything that you want to say, every accolade that you want to give, channel it into supporting the party. Everything, every blessing you want to give me, every good tiding you want to give to Philip Edward Alexander, channel it into the Progressive Empowerment Party. Those who think that they would like to reach out to me and assist me in any way, assist the Progressive Empowerment Party. We need your help. If you want to get yourselves to a place where the country could function as a real country should, you need a real government to do that. You cannot continue these things the way they are. You need a government that is willing, in the first week it is in office, to separate the legislature from the executive. That is imperative. You need a government in the first day it is in office to enact recall legislation so you could fire the government if it doesn't do what it set out to do. Trinidad and Tobago, our future and the future of our aging selves and our children lie in our hands, and it is focused in our voting finger. It is focused in our volunteering hands and our spending hands. If you would like to see this party win, bet on it. I have bet decades of my life. I've put myself in danger. I've lost track of how much lawsuits they have against me now. I have put myself in this and committed everything to this. And I'm asking you, if you think that this is a worthwhile struggle, join us, help us, make a contribution to this party. You can make a contribution of time. You can make a contribution of effort. We have some of the best people standing up as MPs. You are going to be so impressed with our lineup, not this jokey squad I see the UNC put out, and that's not to knock anybody. But when you're putting together a team to form government, that team must be capable of carrying out that role. It is not just about names and faces. It has to be a crew that is capable of delivering on the promises you made in the time frame that you set, to the budgets that you set. Trinidad and Tobago could have it. We could be it. We could grow beyond this pimper's paradise, this gangster's paradise, this white-collar criminal paradise. We could be the rising tide that lifts all boats. We could level the play field. We could make all schools prestige schools and make all public hospitals better than private hospitals. We could do all of those things. We could create jobs that could turn into careers. We could give the people of this country so much safety and security that wrought iron and security guard business gone out of business. That's where we need to be. That's the vision you need to have for this country. I want to know the biggest problems that we will have 3 years into a PEP government is that the lavas full. No, well, not the lavas because we're moving the lavas. But wherever the dump is, it's full with water tank. It's full with water pump because people don't need water tank and water pump cluttering their yard anymore, burning electricity because they get in water 24/7. It's cluttered with wrought iron and burglar proofing and burglar doors and security uniform and security boots and security baton because they have no crime anymore. And we could do that. It is done in the first world, it's done in the developed world, it's done in the real world. Why can't it be done here? If Singapore is half the size of Trinidad and Tobago, how could they have 322 billion GDP and we stuck at 22 and they don't have oil and gas? If Dubai is in the middle of the desert, how could they have water 24/7? And we, who get more rainfall than we could ever consume, we can't? Come on, Trinidad and Tobago, you have to see for yourself right now. This is deliberate incompetence designed to create projects so that they could award contracts so they could steal money. That is all that is going on. On the one hand, we have an economy at a total standstill. On the other hand, the government is spending your money on vanity projects to fix buildings you don't need. If they fix Millfleur and they open it and you go for the clap, after you go for the clap, what is Millfleur after that? Of what value to the country after that? The little tourist boat that they bring today, that they make sure to pose and stunt in front of President's house, after that, what is it worth to you? What is it worth to Trinidad and Tobago? And how much better could that money have been spent? That's the conversation we have to have. You need to be a critical thinker. You need to say despite who is in office. Because it doesn't matter who is in office as long as that person is delivering. And if they're not delivering, take them seriously. Get them out of office and replace them. You cannot continue the two-party eeny-meeny-miny-mo failure that has reduced this country to an absolute shithole. Anybody tells you that Trinidad and Tobago is not a failed nation is lying to you. We have a higher kill rate than countries at war. We are a broken nation. We are the most corrupt country on the planet. The only reason we're not officially listed as the most corrupt country on the planet is because we corrupt even that. The United States of America just put out a warning on their tourism guide. Do not visit Trinidad and Tobago. What more do you need to see and to hear to know that failure in office is what is taking place? Stuart Young talking about the UNC criminals ignoring the PNM criminals. Bandits and bandits. Who thief more? Who thief more? Where's your money? Thief more, thief more. But it's not coming back home. While they playing games and the media publishing that bullshit to fool you. Like Bossa Mark somehow brings the money back. It does not. We need to get to a place where we can fix this country and bring it back to a real nation with first world and developed potential, and we could. Jobs, careers, education, healthcare. Replace the failed local government system with a constituency board of supervisors that decentralizes cabinet to the constituency. So you could reach out and touch the person responsible for security, public health, public works, public utilities, and education in your constituency. We will pass a law that no contracts can be awarded in any constituency other than to companies from that constituency. And no company could be registered in more than one constituency. And no director on any board of any company could exist on more than one contract company. All of that is easy to check. It's easy to check that only workers from the constituency who live in the constituency could get public works jobs. And that will trickle money all the way from the top, all the way down to the bottom. And give work to the people who need it. Homes for all. We have a plan to make home ownership for all a reality. Water for all a reality. Solve the traffic madness by decentralizing the country. Taking all of the government offices out of Port of Spain and putting them in the center of the island. Moving the port of Port of Spain and putting it in Point Lisas. Why Point Lisas? Because Point Lisas is becoming a ghost town and a graveyard. And we need to be in shipping. So we will use up all that space and all of that industry to create a massive shipping hub that will help diversify our economy. All of these things and more could be done by a real government who is focused on making Trinidad and Tobago a better nation and not a place for friends and family to pull up and thief. You want a better country, you're going to have to vote.
Your vote will decide Register and
put them out,
if they dance it,
put them out,
state your finger and
put them out,
show them no mercy.
put them out,
Put them up with total skull and utter disdain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out of power, dominate their reign. Let's put our country together again. If for 30 years you voted them in, and it's only tears as soon as they win. They give you big words and enslave your souls, promising you roads and giving potholes. If they are the reason why the economy could sprout, when you're voting,
put them out, put them out,
if it is the passing laws that them alone can flout, when you're voting,
put them out, put them out,
if it is the building eyesores, east, west, north and south, the same way you vote them in,
put them out,
register and
put them out,
totally
put them out,
state your finger and
put them out,
rescue the country.
put them out,
Put them out with tempo, they have me in pain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out with calypso and joyous refrain. Let's put our country together again.
Hello, Philip. Please allow me a paragraph or two to vent. A little old lady from our constituency, La Puerta de Martin, whom I have known for the past 35 years, was referred to the general hospital after experiencing excruciating pain in her back and right leg. Upon getting to Port of Spain General Hospital, she was told she would have to come back the following day, today, to have an x-ray and see the specialist. Upon returning today, she was told she has to pay to see the specialist, and if an x-ray was needed, she would also have to pay to have this done. My question, isn't the General Hospital a free institution and covered by the taxes that we, the law-abiding citizens, pay? I would really appreciate if you could address this, as today she left the Port of Spain General Hospital again because she was not aware of any required payment, nor did she have sufficient monies to pay the specialist and for the x-ray. Sadly, she is in need of urgent medical attention as her symptoms are extremely debilitating. By the way, they told her to walk with $600 tomorrow if she wants to get through. That's Angelique Fafa sent me that. And I want to tell Angelique, I am upset about this, and I am responding to you here, and I'm going to respond to you in the message. Please contact me. When this lady has to go back to the hospital, I am coming with her. I want them to tell me that she have to pay $600 in the $5 billion a year Port of Spain General Hospital.
If their policy is a fallacy, bureaucracy, a catastrophe, if they cannot cope and you see it so, then your only hope is for them to go. If it is fabrication, these statements that they spout, when you're voting,
put them out, put them out,
if it is that frustration does make you want to shout, when you're voting,
put them out, put them out,
before they misuse out, team us out and mix out. If it you who vote them shelter and clothes, free movement and speech, a garden that grows, and one love for each. If it is that injustice is what they always show, when you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is that avarice is all they seem to know, when you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is their politics, it's just a puppy show. When elections day come, all bandits must go. Register and vote them out.
I just read The Guardian published a column by Nikolai Edwards and the Progressive Party, formed by Nikolai and two other people as a distraction. We will find out who is the stunt artist funding it to distract, but they jumped on our bandwagon with President's House. Udicott, make sure. So Nikolai too. All the little stragglers and the dragglers. There's a debate going to be happening between him, Faris, and Sean Sobers in San Fernando, and Joel D'Souza. And I would gladly show up to join that debate if they were going to talk policies and ideas and not hairstyles and pocket squares. But I am absolutely certain that of all of them gathered, there's not going to be one real issue addressed, and it'll all be a stunt for the cameras, and we're not interested in that. Trinidad and Tobago, you have one good last best chance in 2020 to vote yourself a real government. The Progressive Empowerment Party, the PEP. That's what you will see on the ballot. PEP. Vote for that. Vote for a government that is willing and able to stand up for you on every issue, not one that waits for other people to stand up and then jump on their bandwagon. Vote for a government that is led by people who are capable of enunciating real plans and policies forward, who have no problem standing up to the contract mafia and the criminally corrupt that have been ruining this country for all of our 57 years. If you want a better Trinidad and Tobago, it is within your right, it is within your grasp, and it is within your finger. You have the ability, you have the opportunity. Never let them say that we were asleep at the time when we had the real first best opportunity to rescue Trinidad and Tobago from the 57 years of madness we've been tolerating since September 1st, 1962. The better country you always wanted is on the other side of what you do next. Share this video, call your friends and family, tell them we all go in PEP. PEP is the answer. Put some pep in your step. Pep Talks start Monday morning. Pep Talks Monday morning, 6 to 8 every day. Pep Pan Posse this Sunday. We're going in the North Stand. I think we're going in wherever is the other thing they call it too. Join up, link up. Reach out to Felicia Holder, 769-4590. Reach out to Shari Wilson and Michelle Davis. It is time for a better country, not stunts, not sideshows, not gimmicks, not clown cars, not acts, not jackass farms. Real politics, real policy. And I want to tell you this. I'm working with all my documentation to prove how long these policies have been the Progressive Empowerment Party's policies. And I'm working with actual evidence and the dates. I put them in the public space. So when you see these other stunt artists and their puppeteers behind them trying to parrot PEP policies, you will know for a fact that there can only be one true, genuine article, Philip Edward Alexander and the Progressive Empowerment Party, who has worked diligently from the moment we launched to inform, educate, and empower the citizenry. We've changed the national narrative and we've stood toe-to-toe with the empowered elite, and we are asking for the opportunity to give this country the right type of leadership and governance that it was always entitled to. The most blessed nation on earth, Trinidad and Tobago, should be a paradise. Until tomorrow, stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.